Hey everybody. But some of you are wondering whether or not I've got a beard under this mask. Many of you may have other questions. Like, is that a tinfoil hat with antennas that John's wearing? Well, I have a beard, and it hasn't gone anywhere. And yes, this is a tinfoil hat that I made today to make light of the situation. I think it looks pretty good, to be honest. So, anyways, that was just to get your attention. Oh, man, where to begin? All right, so I believe this may be my last post on the old Facebooks. It's just not a place I want to consume my time. And I got a couple of points here that I just want to put out there for you to consider yourself, and to see where you are and what values you get and returns and rewards you get from Facebook. So apologize as I've got my my notes here, but so how much time do you spend on Facebook? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how do you use it, and what are the effects of your use, both for yourself and for those around you, for others, and what's this doing to society. So this post was kind of speared on by a recent profile picture change. Many of you got the joke. Some of you did not. And that could easily be attributed to age class, mostly, to be honest. But I recently changed my profile picture to Tom from MySpace, just in a way to kind of lighten the mood that was a couple of weeks ago, I believe it was now. I honestly intended it just to be funny. I wasn't going to shave my beard. I've been growing this since April 19th, so I think almost 10 months now, something like that. 9 or 10 months. But, Tom from MySpace, that's an iconic photo. He created MySpace, I want to say in like 2005. It lasted until 2008. It actually ended up having upwards of 100 million unique monthly users. Okay? 100 million people were using MySpace monthly. 100 million, okay? And many folks did not recognize that iconic photo, which was Tom, the founder of Facebook's profile picture. For those that don't know, when you became an account on I'm telling you, the whole reason I'm making this post is about Facebook and the control it has on us, and I can't even say MySpace naturally out of my damn mouth. But you always had a friend. When you created your account, your very first friend was Tom. He was everybody's friend. And there's some strikingly handsome features that he and I share. We both got short, cropped, dark hair. We're both Caucasian. But outside of that, it was kind of alarming to see some of the folks who thought that was actually me. And that kind of leads into kind of where I'm at today in regards to trying to get rid of Facebook for myself. There's just way too many people who believe what they see, right? And that's compounded by the fact that trustworthy people they know and they trust, share certain things. And I'd like to consider myself a pretty trustworthy person. And so for that, I apologize for anyone I misled in regards to thinking that, one, I had shaved my beard, and two, that was actually me. I tried to answer most of the comments that it wasn't me. In fact, it was someone else. But my original intent was just to be funny and to try to make light of a situation. But yet, it kind of leads to the core of what it is I want to discuss in regards to people just take what they see and run with it. And there's science behind all that. There's physiological stuff that happens in our brains that make us want to believe what it is we see to be the truth. And it's just not that way. And, apologize again, I'm going to be looking at my notes here, but, hell, that may actually take up most of the first page. I'm sure there's some good stuff in there, but hey. So, again, this is definitely spurred on by political activity on the social media platforms, right? Doesn't matter who you voted for or what your beliefs are, but fact of the matter is you can't hide from it anymore. You can't try to just lurk around and enjoy seeing pictures of family and friends and see some funny memes and this and that anymore. It's just barreled down your throat in regards to this is what's happening and this is what you should believe, and no one's thinking for themselves anymore. And if they are, that quite frankly, they're they're not critically thinking. And this is no disrespect for folks who are educated on topics. These are for people who are feel strongly about their views, one side or the other. It's just, honestly, you can't sit here and think that you're not being manipulated by social media platforms, by the media, etc. And this is all factual, science-based, that your brain is wired a certain way, and people in certain seats know how your brain functions. And if you think about TikTokers nowadays, right? You can't go anywhere without your teeny boppers doing stuff, whatever the case may be. Thank God my kids aren't on TikTok or anything of that nature. But for those that are laughing right now, you know what the hell I'm talking about. When we get likes on our posts, when people comment happy birthday to us, it gives us a dopamine hit, okay? It releases dopamine. If you reach a goal, whether that goal be to lose 5 pounds or that goal be to get a new promotion at work, it's a huge release of dopamine, right? You accomplished your goals, and it makes you feel good, and that's all great. And you could easily Google brain functions. What am I looking for here? You're looking at like dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, adrenaline, all these different releases, these endorphins, whatever you want to call them, that release out of your brain. They all have a function, and social media is abusing those functions. And when you think about TikToks, some of these adults, but mostly kids, they're all about how many followers they have, and it releases dopamine and dopamine and dopamine and another hit. And when you think about drug dealers, drug users, not saying drug dealers don't get into their own stash, but when you think about drug users, okay, they're looking for that high. That high is a dopamine release, okay? I read a book. It's by Daniel Goleman. It's called Emotional Intelligence. And I read this as part of a leadership development program through my employer. But I really enjoyed the book because it allowed me to learn that my brain can change. Historically, I definitely talk more than I listen. I definitely am more self-centered in my conversations in regards to how I'm feeling, or I want to talk about, my views, and I don't always listen to others. And turns out your brain physiologically can change if you work at it. You literally exercise your brain. And so, for example, in the book, it talks about how you can make a contract with yourself to go into a conversation allowing the other person to speak first. When they ask you how your day was, you're like, oh, my day was fine, but how was your day? And then, just you keep doing that, and it actually changes the default in your brain that you just walk up to a conversation without conscientiously thinking about, I need to let them talk first. You just walk right into the conversation and you let them talk first. And so my point is you can work at your brain function, and you can be a better you. To that point, dopamine is being released constantly. And if someone gets likes on their photo, and I'm on social media as much as anyone, and I love the dopamine as much as anyone. Okay, and that's why I'm making this post, in order to take a stance against the power that it has on me, and try to make a better path forward for me, my family, my kids, etc. But I have an Instagram page. It's not a shameless plug, but it's just part of the context of the argument here. But I'm trying to build the audience of that page. And there's selfish reasons, there's inspirational reasons, there's all kinds of different reasons as why. But really, the feeling that you get when someone famous likes your post, or someone famous starts sharing you, it's overwhelming. It feels pretty damn sweet. So you're trying to figure out how to do whatever you need to do next in order to get a high that reaches that high. Okay, so anyone that's familiar with drug users knows that you don't just stay kind of at the same entry-level drug or the same entry-level dosage that you do the first time you do it. You go to higher doses, and then ultimately you try to find a new drug that gets you to a new high. And all that does is it releases that dopamine. It's very unhealthy, okay? It's also unhealthy, even though these aren't drugs, but the likes of Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, etc., these kids, especially kids, their brains are so weak, they're so soft, that they don't realize the damage that they're doing to it, and they're physiologically imprinting their brain that this is how life functions. And many of you know exactly what I'm talking about right now. Whether you have kids yourself, grandkids, or you see that damn kid at Walmart just throwing an absolute flipping tantrum because he's not getting what he wants, or you see the kid at Walmart doing crazy flipping TikTok dances. They can't help it. It's honestly, they can't help it. It's literally how they function day in and day out, and it's quite alarming. And as parents, I would ask you to think about where it is you are with allowing your kids screen time and what it is doing to their brain. And you can honestly read books about this all day long. Okay, I'm not crazy. I can get my tinfoil hat and put it back on if you want me to. It didn't take me but a couple of minutes to do this. And for those asking, I wonder if he's got a great Make America Great Again, a MAGA hat under here. No, it's not. It's not. I don't actually own any MAGA gear. Not that it's just not who I am. But point being, just because you see that kind of stuff doesn't mean that they're a crazy person. That all said, okay, trying to make a little humor of a very, very serious situation with our society and where it is we're at, okay? Oh, so dopamine, okay? It's a very, very great thing for our minds, but it's got to come naturally. You can't, what's the word I'm looking for here? You can't engineer dopamine. You can't just like force it to happen. You can't keep the balance up, okay? And again, many of us know it. Many of us know it in ourselves, and we're too afraid to admit it, you know? I'll tell you this. I'm a hardcore Diet Mountain Dew drinker, okay? A few years ago, it actually was the anniversary of my mom's passing. The anniversary of her going into the hospital and me traveling back home to see her, which is a pretty monumental time in my life. And that anniversary hit, and I was drinking Diet Mountain Dews like 6, 8 a day, every day, guaranteed. It was monotonous. And I just, on that day, I literally said, I told my wife, I said, don't buy it anymore. I'm done. I'm done drinking it here at the house. And when I say 6 to 8 a day, I'm talking at the house. I'm drinking 6 to 8 a day. That's not counting my road time or out with friends, whatever it may be. So I went like a year and a couple of months. I went like 15 months, I think, without drinking a single Mountain Dew at the house. And I made the decision that day to not do it. Life's stressors came back, things of that nature. I ended up getting back on the Mountain Dew kick for a while. And I'd say up until recent months, with just personal and professional stressors, I was back up to 6 or 8 a day, every day. It's wild. And over the last week, my wife, I told her, I was like, just don't buy it again. And I hadn't had a Mountain Dew in like 4 days. And I think to myself all the time, like, I'm pretty strong-minded. And I have the ability to say what it is has control over me, what doesn't have control over me. And this is a very hard post to make. It took me days to get to the point where I would at least write it down. I hate writing stuff down, okay? And I've got more pages of scrap notes where I had all my thoughts written down. It's just self-accountability, and oftentimes I put my own accountability on the back burner for the accountability of others. And at some point, you've got to stand up for yourself, and you've got to do things that better you, therefore they better your family, your kids, etc. So moving on. Switching topics just a bit here, just to kind of get my point across, I guess, because what everyone's fed up with is just politics, okay? Regardless of what side you're on. I mean, there's really nothing that makes people more disgruntled, angry, disappointed, whatever it may be, than just hearing and talking about politics. The original part of social media was to connect people, right? Connect people, that college roommates that live across the country, or your extended family who's since moved away to build a career and you don't get to see them that often. You can see their grandkids. You could see your cousins, whatever. That's what this is all for, okay? It definitely wasn't meant to push an agenda or anything of that nature, but that is where it's come. And not only us personally are pushing it, but it's being driven by the people who created it. And it's a terrible thing for society, okay? It ruins relationships. It ruins friendships, lifelong friendships. You look at someone different now because they make a post about something. It's all BS, and we have to absolutely stand up for ourselves in order to better ourselves and better our society. So I'll just switch gears here. I'm sure I'm going to miss some important stuff. And anyone can always call or text me, and I'd be happy to talk about my visions and ideals and so on. Anyone who knows me knows I like to talk, okay? But I'm also a great listener, and I want to listen and understand those other points of views as well. And I'm very passionate about bettering society and bettering the world, right? like if we don't change how it is we're functioning and acting, like I really have deep fears about where it is we're going in a very short amount of time. So with that, I ask you this question. Before social media, how often did you openly discuss politics? Okay, now I realize some of my friends are younger and most of their adult life has been on social media. They don't know any other way. So for those folks, I ask you to think back to your parents, and you're at the VFW on a Saturday, or you're at wherever it is your parents used to go, smoking Winston's, or, whatever it is people did back in the 80s and 90s. Did you ever hear them talk about politics? And at least from my household and my extended family, we never talked politics. It never came up in conversation, especially at holidays and things like that. Never would that come up. To ask someone who they voted for, asking your brother, asking your family members, hey, who'd you vote for? It was completely taboo and it was offensive. You just don't ask people that kind of stuff. It's personal, it's private. And those days are long gone. Long gone. And all of these people on the internet today who have extremely different views than you, one, I'd argue, however many years ago, they weren't actually that egregiously different, but different factors that have made you believe that you have to be way over here or way over here. And yes, I'm doing it off screen to prove my point over here, okay? Back in the day, we used to all get along on most things. And I'd argue we still do, okay? But that's not the world that's shown to us. But that said, you didn't talk about it. It was offensive and you kept it to yourself. But my point is that people who did oppose your views, you lived and walked with them every single day. You gave them hugs, you gave them handshakes, you laughed with them, you cried with them, etc. And now it's like we disown people, we defriend people, we unfriend people. We have verbal, possibly physical disagreements with people. All the while, back in the day, those types of people broke bread with you at the table and you didn't know any different, okay? I do have another point here in regards to that. Give or take, you couldn't also tell who people voted for based upon, in a sense, how they acted, how they dressed, etc. Now it seems if you dress a certain way, or if you have certain outdoor recreational hobbies, you can kind of be put into a box, okay? But by what you say on the internet or by what you don't say, God forbid you don't speak up on something political, you fall into a box, okay? It's not fair, and it's not, it's just not human, okay? I don't know how else to tell you. I stereotype, I judge, I'm very, I have a lot of intuition, and I like to try to, figure out where people stand in this and that, but ultimately, I like to think I give people a fair shot. Plus, I like seeing people for the great humans they are, I interact with people all the time in this community I'm in now. And I can tell you right now, there's people on both sides of the spectrum as far as where they vote and this and that. And I can tell you when we're playing basketball on Saturdays at the rec, or we're at the baseball diamonds, or we're on the football field, there's all a common interest, okay? And it's the kids, and it's the sport, etc. Okay? People don't cheer for the head coaches or don't cheer for the head coaches because they know what certain way they voted, or none of this other mess, okay? But that said, just people put you in a box, and it's just not fair. And we need to think about how we judge people before we even get to know them or get to understand them, okay? And so before I switch gears a little bit here, I know that there's folks out there that, that don't put politics on their page, and great. But I know there's also people that say, hey, I don't post anything political on my page. Well, that's not how this all works, okay? If you don't post anything on your page, that's great. Good self-control. But the moment you comment on a political page, whether it be a news source, whether it be your friend's page, whether it be an article they shared, whether you like it or not, if it says, if you liked it, so-and-so liked this post, and then it's in my feed, it's being put down my throat, and I can't not see it other than unfollowing you. And I don't want to unfollow people. I don't want to unfriend people. I love seeing the pictures of your kids. I love seeing the humorous memes you post, okay? I love 90%, 95% of who you are and what it is you put on your social media. It's when you comment on something that maybe it's something I agree with, something I don't agree with. It still fuels an anger in me and gets me all fired up, gets my blood pressure going, even if, I should do my political thumb, okay? Even if it's something I align with, I don't want to see it on social media. I use social media for inspiration. I use it for a breakaway from the real world, all right? So just because you say you don't post anything doesn't mean you're not actively being political on your social media, and it permeates amongst other people. So if you look right now at some of your friends' pages, and maybe you see it now, but just some awkward vulnerability where they're putting themselves out there in a light which is uplifting, which is caring, which is, just whether it's them. It could be anything. I've seen recent posts by a couple of different friends where they're singing, and making themselves vulnerable to the general public, not to mention at the place in which they're at doing it, but then they go ahead and post it on social media for that possible scrutiny, etc. They're doing it to uplift their family and friends, okay? Those are the types of people that we need to rally behind right now. Those that are trying to use social media for good, for positive, etc. All the time, nonstop. They never waver from that. And I always struggle. I know people look to me sometimes for humor and uplifting and inspiration and passion and enthusiasm. I get all that, but it's tough to do it all the time. But it's people like that do keep me going. And like I said, that's what's going to make it probably tough when I do get rid of Facebook, because I'm not going to be able to interact with those types of people. So, the other thing I wanted to talk about was that other brain liquid there, whatever the hell you call it. I'm losing that word right now. But oxytocin is another one, all right? A chemical. That's the word I'm looking for, brain chemical, oxytocin. Okay, it's known as the love hormone, all right? And you could do a quick Google searching. Obviously, again, you got to watch your sources. And, I'm the type of person, honestly, believes Wikipedia is a viable source. I've been doing that since middle school. So, hey, it works for me. But if you look at it, basically, oxytocin is when you see someone open the door for someone, a young gentleman, maybe he's a teenager, he's 16, just drove there. He's opening the door to said business, and this elderly woman's walking in, all right? And he's waiting awkwardly for her to take her time to get there, and with a smile on his face continues to open the door, and she says, "Thank you, young man." And then that fires you up to go do the same thing to someone else, whether it be opening a door or it's all the other great things that we do for other humans, putting someone's cart away at the parking lot, whatever it may be. But you seeing that person do it then spurs you on to do it. There was probably 6 other people who saw him or her, the young person, hold that door open. Okay, so then those people all want to go out and do something good. And then when you do something good, people see you doing it, and that spurs them off to do something good. Okay, we don't have enough of that. We sure aren't there, and that's happening in the real world. Okay, but it's not being shown on social media. Okay, not enough, anyways, right? And it almost seems like way too much stuff on social media is all fabricated and made up. Okay, and it's all meant to go viral, right? People, you look at all this, and I'll use TikTok, but TikTok, Facebook, all these comedians, all these Instagram people, these celebrities now, they're celebrities. People, they have 30, 40 million followers, okay? And they're just a damn random ass teenager or a bunch of kids who have a good sense of humor, etc. But they also know how to go viral. And going viral means money, okay? That's how they're making their income. They don't honestly care about the repercussions of said content they're creating. They just know they're getting paid, okay? So in regards to going viral, I'll throw this out there. There are a lot of people in this world who are viral hungry, right? And it's that dopamine hit that they get. And they create something, whether it's an infographic, it's a post about said political party, one side or the other. It's a story, it's whatever it is. It could be completely fabricated, but look just enough real to where, again, like we talked about at the beginning of this video, people pick it up and run with it. And for the most part, give or take, I'm looking at you boomers, and I say boomers respectfully. I know a lot of the young kids use it as a disrespectful term nowadays, but man, if you are of a certain age class, it's just, you don't have any grasp that these kids, I say kids, there's adults too, but these kids make stuff up to go viral, okay? Like, it is a disease to them to go viral, to get the shares, to get the views. 20 million views in a week, 1 million views in an hour. Can I hit that? I can't do it with what I post, but these kids, that's all they wake up, they think about, right? And I say kids, teenagers, young 20-somethings. They're bad people. And I say that. I'm talking specifically about the stuff that's not real. They create this stuff to make it look real, and then it goes crazy. And they don't care the repercussions, nor do they probably even know the repercussions. All they see is the clicks of the views just going up and 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 up. They may not be getting paid. All they see is the views. Can you believe it? 2 million views. 3 million views. How do I get the next one? Okay. So just realize that there's people out there who do things film things, create things in order to make it go viral so they can fill their own selfish desires and needs, okay? So for me, honestly, just as a very strong-minded person who is a very analytical, critical thinker, I really probably overthink things more than I should, but I think it keeps me well balanced. And funny enough, that's why I wore my hat, because I feel myself more and more defending whether or not I'm a damn conspiracy theorist. Like, if you don't conform to how it is you should be thinking, you're a conspiracy theorist. Done deal, right? That's a conspiracy theorist. I don't lose sleep over conspiracy theories. I don't. I'm not a conspiracy theorist per se, but I do question what is reality and what is not reality. And Facebook is not reality, okay? Whether it's politics or it's other people's lifestyles and other people's happiness. If you believe everyone who says they're happy on Facebook is happy, I'm telling you, I got oceanfront property. What is it? Oceanfront property in California? I don't know what the hell the song is, okay? I got some oceanfront property to sell you. And anyone that knows me knows I don't have any oceanfront property, okay? So you just can't believe that. And quite frankly, the more people that put themselves and their families out there, nothing against those who have great lives and so on, but shit. Like, why do you have to force how happy you are on other people, right? And I'm not saying that couldn't be a good way for them to try to expose others, but I'm just saying most people who have good, healthy lifestyles and marriages aren't taking the time to put it on social media. They're too fucking busy, sorry my language, of doing what it is makes them happy, and they are genuinely happy. So be thoughtful of that kind of stuff and reach out to people who you think, could use some company. And quite frankly, with all this goddamn lockdown stuff, there are people who just genuinely need, and I'd argue every human needs social interaction, human interaction, and we're not getting it. And again, not getting into any other craziness, but man, people die every day of loneliness. And this is well before the situation we're in now, okay? The elderly, their kids move on, their grandkids move on, they don't come back, and it's just one of them deals. You see it all the time. Husband passes away, wife dies a couple weeks later. Wife dies, husband passes away a couple weeks later. It's not morbid to think about or anything of that nature. It's just reality. You see it all the time. Once they have nothing else to live for, it's not like, it's just their body says, yep, you're done, Whereas, you also see those 90-year-olds have been married for 60 years, and they're out dancing and things like this. They're doing all kinds of crazy stuff. That's because they're damn happy, and they sure the hell probably aren't on Facebook. And if they are, they're probably writing in all caps and everything else. Plug if, yeah. So if you want to see a little bit of humor, go to Wendy's, the fast food chain's social media. It's pretty funny. They kind of troll boomers a little bit, and boomers enjoy it. But go to the comments. It's one of the best comment sections to be in where, normally I'd say, hey, don't go in the comments. But it's people texting as if they were boomers, and they misspell stuff. And it's really funny. So they're making light of, funny situation. And it's good humor. It's what social media should be for. So I digress. I'll tell you this, there's a lot of good for social media. And hell, I see we're almost 30 minutes into this video, but there's a lot of good of social media, okay? For those that don't know, back in 2012, 13, but 2012, I finally just said, hey, you know what? And I say, 2012 for me was a great year for me, but it was a bad year in the sense that, I have some people I used to call friends that I no longer hang out with. I realize that, they're no longer friends. And it's nice to trim away those people who don't really genuinely care about you. And I started thinking to myself, man, it'd be great to have the kids have as many grandparents as possible. And here I have my dad down in Florida, who I haven't spoke to arguably since I've been 3, but I think there was a time or two when I was 6 or 7, he'd call happy birthday, this and that. But, I just didn't have a relationship with him. And it wasn't like it was something real nasty where like my mom and my dad didn't get along and it's like, hey, don't you ever. It was none of that. It was just he was living his life. It was going good. We were doing fine up here. Everything's healthy and good. But it's like, damn, what the hell? So my mom asked me to become friends with my stepmom, Lori, on Facebook. And I did. And it was very passive and it was very subtle at first. It was a private message about a deer recipe, right? Like, how do you make your deer, I was like, all right, well, here's this. And then, here's a couple pictures of the kids, and then they'd like a couple of pictures of the kids I'd post and so on. It got to the point where I called them Christmas morning 2012 and said, hey, how's it going? And we had about a 10-minute conversation. We mostly talked about hunting and how hunting season was going. Fast forward 6 months, June of 2013, and we drive, I think we drove to Florida. And it's like we haven't missed a beat, right? That was 8 years ago. and it's like we haven't missed a beat. So that is an unbelievable opportunity that happened because of social media. Now, maybe that would have happened in the future, but no question, the ability to be connected far away allowed us to ultimately bring that relationship back. And that's a very, very beautiful thing. And that kind of stuff happens all the time, okay? There's also just simple stuff like groups. I'm a part of a couple of different groups, whether it be cooking groups, foraging groups, things like that, just things that I'm passionate about. Also just work groups. So I have some groups in which I have coworkers, and we have groups where we can more socially interact, funny, humorously, and it's not business. It's completely stupid memes and things that make you laugh, stuff like that. And it's lighthearted, and it breaks the monotony that is the daily grind. So there's a lot of great things. It's just right now for me, the negatives that come with all of the stuff I don't want to see, but I accidentally see it and I can't scroll past it. And a lot of that comes down to self-control, right? And I'll admit, I don't have the self-control to let be, right? Just let it be. I got to go up and see who it is that commented on that, because I normally don't see them comment. And right now, that's what we've got. We've got a lot of people who normally just look past it and they don't fall into the trap that is what it is we're talking about. But enough's enough, right? Whether it's the quarantine, whether it's politics, your average everyday American is now getting involved, and they don't want to get involved. They just feel as if it's time to fight or flight, right? It's like it's their time to defend their stance, which is really no stance at all a lot of times, right? It's just like, hey, don't mess with me. Don't mess with my day-to-day. Let's all be good to each other. Let's be kind to each other. And it's just, yeah, that's that. So one of the last things I think I'm going to talk about here is setting timers for yourself. So if you didn't know, and I probably should have talked about this at the beginning of the video, it's that important, but Instagram, Facebook, those are the two platforms I'm on. I'm not on Twitter. I'm not on anything else. I recently deleted Snapchat. I had it for something else, and I got rid of it. I got rid of all the games on my phone. They're just a time suck. They're not productive. I can find other ways to have brain breaks. Maybe it's training the dog, whatever it may be. Obviously outside of when the kids are home, spending time with them, but I'm saying during the day when I'm at work. But you can set timers, okay? And I did this about 3 years ago on Instagram. I realized I was spending a lot of time on Instagram. I just happened to peek. I was like, let's just see how often I'm on here, right? And my wife was jabbing me like, oh yeah, you're on there all the time. I'm like, hey, you're on there all the too. You're on there all the time too, You look at yours. You tell me how often you're on there before I tell you how often I'm on there. I was on there she said 26 minutes. 26 minutes a day I'm on Instagram. I said, holy shit. I was on there for like 2 hours and 26 minutes a day, okay? And so I set a timer for myself for, I think it was like an hour and 45 minutes. And then I set a timer. I started to not reach that timer every day. So then I set the timer for like an hour and 15 minutes. And then I started to find myself falling under that timer. And then I set the timer for 45 minutes, which is what it's at now. And I enjoy being on Instagram because Instagram, more so than Facebook, allows me to not see the stuff I don't want to see, because I don't have to follow people who like or comment or post political stuff or anything else for that matter. There's a lot of things I don't want to see. And just like everyday common stuff. It's not what I want to waste my time on. Maybe it's some of hey, that's great for you, but it's just not what inspires me. So I don't know what it just told me there, but it told me that I pretty much reached my max. So what I need you to do is go on there and look at your activity, see how often you are on these platforms and how much control they have on you, and set timers so that you can allow yourself to get control back over your life. I hope this opens up some dialogue. I'm happy to discuss it with anybody. I'm probably going to be departing from Facebook here pretty soon. I'm on Instagram. Wild Game Cook is my public page. I do have a private page now, JW_DadLife. That is a private page for family and friends. Don't be offended if I don't follow you or may not even grant access for you to follow me. It's just kind of what I want to do in order to share what I want to share to who I want to share it with. So love all of you. Despite what it is you may view or not view, like, it doesn't matter to me, okay? You're still friends to me as long as you've never done me wrong. You know what I mean? And I'd be happy to cook for you and eat with you and hang out and so on. So we need to get back to that, hanging out and eating and so on. And again, I bring up eating because that's what I'm into. But hopefully this was received well. God bless you all. God bless America. Take control back over your lives. And I'd be happy to talk to you about it and tell you my struggles and what it is I've struggled with, and now what it is I'm trying to overcome. So thank you, everybody. Thanks for sticking around if you have this long. See you.